Just go live now.
Was there any traction from that response?
All right, let's see. Okay, we are live, I think, on... Is Sean, did he kick Instagram up?
He should have.
Let's see.
Are we up and running on Snapchat?
Yes. Instagram is running.
OnlyFans. Good.
Ooh,
Yep.
OnlyFans. All right, welcome everybody to the 034 Motorsport live chats. This is episode 149. And as always, I'm Javad Shadzi. This is Nate Stewart. We're here to answer all your questions about all things 034 Motorsport. If you have any questions about products or services or history, anything you want to know, we're kind of deprioritizing status update questions. So if you ask about like when something's coming out or whatever, we may not answer it. Sorry about that. If you love us, if you hate us, if we've hurt you in any way, we'd like to know about it so we can make it right because we care. And anything else you want to know?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
we're here for you.
just about anything. Both accomplished parents, very good at change. I can change diapers with one hand.
Dude, I can sling a diaper.
I at
I'm
one
working on the
point
accomplishments.
had two kids in diapers, and I could smell which one had pooped their pants,
That's
depending on the smell.
And that is
So,
something.
yes. So all that information is available to you here on the 034 Motorsport live chat. But go ahead and put your questions into the browser of your choice, and we will get to it. So we have some questions rolling in already. Someone's asking about what our recommended plug gap is for Stage 2 tunes for B9 S5. I mean, first of all, we don't have an official plug gap.
And yeah, I think we've arranged, but no, it's, oh no, we had arranged for the brisk plugs or whatnot.
Correct.
On the site. But
I just think we need to be careful
Yeah,
throwing
it's-
out
we're-
numbers.
yeah, honestly,
Unqualified.
we generally do all of our calibration work on factory plugs at a factory. I believe, I want to say it's probably around 0.25 to 0.28 or something like that. I would have to look and see what the exact is. I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, for now, we have not released any official recommendation other than factory plugs and factory plug gaps. If you run a brisk plug or something like that, the gap could be different because it's a different plug. But in general, the more boost you're making, the more power you're making, you would close up the plug gap to increase the chance of ionization. But the less power you make, the more plug gap you can run. So the reason you would play with your plug gap is to allow the plug to ionize and spark, given the higher pressures involved.
Yeah, you generally have to tighten them up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well, not quite a bit, but you did with the
Well,
with the denser mixture. Yeah,
Thousands,
yeah.
several thousandths of an inch or something like that. Contrary to popular belief, bigger plug gaps do not support higher horsepower. So, little teeny weeny plug gaps can make lots of horsepower.
As long as it's letting off correctly, you're good to go.
Yes. With your discussion last week, so we will continue to evaluate the spark plug situation with these motors, and if at some point we feel like we need to make a recommendation, we will. Okay. With your discussion last week regarding B9 engine failures, what are your recommended maintenance intervals for plugs, coils, injectors on stage 2 and above, and do you still recommend the factory plugs?
I mean, it's a lot of different questions in there.
Yeah.
The components, in particular, if we're talking injectors on stage 2 and above, injectors are going to be hard because there's a number of different revisions that have come out over the years, and they're getting to the point. If you don't know when the injectors were replaced, or we dealt with this with the B8s for quite some time too, where people were coming to terms with injectors being a maintenance item, but we don't have an official interval on them. It's probably going to be in the 30K range or so, 30 to 40,000 miles if you really want to have a known solid setup for the injectors. But that's kind of anecdotal. It's
hard to say.
I don't have a solid number to give anybody. It varies based on what revision injector and just the life of the injector over its time.
There's reported cases of brand new injectors failing very quickly, but that can happen with any part can fail right out of the box.
Plugs, they certainly are a shorter lifespan the more and more output you make. I'd say it's probably easy to say half to a third of the normal maintenance interval as you start getting up there power-wise.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on what plug you're running. The iridium and some of the more exotic materials will last a little longer. But generally, they're going to be maybe a warmer heat range on some tunes, depending on what you're looking for. What else is they asking here? Yeah.
Coils.
Coils aren't really a maintenance.
Yeah.
Those in theory shouldn't. I mean, they're just kind of good or bad.
I would run a coil until it starts misfiring and having an issue.
The rest of the stuff too, though, like down to oil changes and that kind of thing, you're going to have to shorten those intervals up the more and more power you make. No concrete numbers because it's kind of going to depend on your exact situation.
I think it's safe to say expect higher service intervals, especially with plugs. Plugs do wear quickly and they are consumable. The more power you make, like we've talked about before, we used to build motors where we would get like 3 or 4 dyno pulls and then have to change the plugs. And including like drag racing, you get like 1 or 2 drag pulls and then new plugs go in.
That's on, of course. That's the very extreme end of things.
That was extreme, and those were copper plugs that
older, much older tech in general.
Okay, this is a question, and then we'll respond. But someone says, "Is it possible that all quote unquote these blown motors are being caused by inaccurate reading from the sensor in the Fuel It app? My GM sensor was reading E68 when it was actually E78." Too much octane could be causing these issues.
Too much octane? It's not too much octane. It's a lack of octane.
Too much E.
Yeah, or not enough E in that case.
Or too much.
Or too much. I'm sorry. Yes, too much ethanol.
I think
for the quantity of injection needed. Yeah.
It's a different problem on either end of the scale. Too much E and you run out of fuel system capacity. Not enough E, you run out of octane.
Yep.
It's possible. We don't know. We won't say no to that or yes, but. There are more anecdotal reports coming out like this where people are seeing variances from, and I don't know what's being compared or what the reference is.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they're validating
versions of Fuel It or ethanol content sensors that you can run that Fuel It recommends, and each part number someone claims they all read.
We haven't tested all of that back to back to know.
It would be nice to see all 3 sensors installed in the same fuel line.
I know all of our setups we have here, the cars read like within one of the same pump when we all fill them from the same pump here. So it's from what we've seen, the setups we run have been very consistent, at least in what they're reading. So we're almost always E80 on the nose with our at our pumps here.
I also will point out that all the blown motors, from our knowledge right now, is like 3. It's a small number of our customers who have had any kind of issue. So let's not make it sound like dozens or hundreds of motors have blown. It's not. These are, at this time, very rare isolated incidents over the last year, at least. Our tune has now been on the market for 2 years. Our B9 tuning.
Various levels.
We released Stage 1 2 years ago, a week ago. So these incidences are very rare, very isolated. They get a lot of publicity, online, and of course we're giving it a lot of publicity,
and rightfully so. I mean, it's a big thing.
I'm not saying that those cases shouldn't be highlighted in a big way. The publicity, though, comes to making it seem like it's a much bigger
it's like some light switch got flipped and it's an all or nothing thing.
Well, and we've seen this with the rocker arm failure, supposedly, that everyone was kind of freaking about that last year. What was the other one? There was another one recently.
Oh, another Achilles heel,
like everyone's spark plugs are blowing. And it's like, well, they're not. Some people are having
that's the other kind of key indicator.
Or injectors, it was the injectors.
The injectors. But all of these, honestly, all these issues we've had have generally been, or I think, as far as I know, a single cylinder event, which generally indicates a component issue in that cylinder. and they're not the same cylinder on anything that I've seen either. So, yeah, not necessarily a chronic thing on all components.
Mm-hmm. When will the no crackle files start showing up on the portal for those who requested them? We're currently quoting a 2 to 3 week lead time minimum.
Yeah, I mean,
possibly longer.
We're getting them up as we have some spare time. These are a very low priority addition we're adding to the portal. So we've got a lot of other files and calibration work we're getting up. This is going to be probably the lowest priority thing we have in our queue, but we are tracking them all. We're knocking them out as we have some time. You'll probably see someone up end of last week. I know a couple of our calibrators knocked a bunch out.
Yeah.
So we're working on them, but there's not going to be any kind of definite time frame on these.
Yeah, it's a free $0 option, and a lot of you are like we're seeing here are asking for paid product options that are obviously get the priority, but I think if you ask for your no crackle file, you will get it, and then we just request that you be a little patient on the timing. In the meantime, you can turn it off, in the individual mode. Just bought an S4 B8.5 with 63,000 miles. Where should I start modding my vehicle? Oh, we get this question all the time. Look at. I mean, there's two directions, right? There's handling and there's power and performance. So I would take a look at our acceleration packages that we've put together for the B8. You could start with stage 1. That will dramatically increase the power of your vehicle. And then I would strongly recommend our springs and at minimum our rear sway bar, but our front rear sway bars for that. And then our insert package. That's a pretty, and I think we have a handling package for that too. So that check out the stage 1 handling package, stage 1 acceleration package, and then you can just add from there.
The details of the rest of the stages is below and what you gain from them. So.
Yeah, you can read about all the stages, and you can jump to stage 2 or stage 3 as well. Don't feel like you have to start at stage 1, but and then just make sure you have good maintenance.
Yeah, I was just going to bring that up. Make sure, because 63K, that's fairly low mileage, but it's at the point where intercooler bricks are going to want to be at least inspected. Make sure those are in good shape.
Yeah.
Injectors, while you're in there looking at the intercooler bricks.
And check for coolant leaks.
Coolant leaks, PCV valve, just some of the basic things. You can search all over the various groups, kind of see what
we have
what the typical things are. We've got a bunch of clip outs.
Lots of clip outs about this as well. So just kind of go through our B8 content on the uncut page.
Yep.
How's the new supercharger? We all want to know.
We'll let you guys know once we've got more information on that. So.
It looks really cool. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful billet machined piece.
Yep.
I looked over the specs for the supercharger unit last week, and it's a high flowing supercharger.
It's got a lot of good potential. So
it's about 50% more flow.
Yeah, the thing is, the thing that we're making sure we're trying to best capture is the isolating the charger. So we're trying to make sure that everything we're doing when we do our A/B testing, that the gains and all the numbers we're seeing are just from the charger. So we're just making sure we're getting a vehicle set up in the configuration we want right now for that setup. So we can do just we're going to start with the way the vehicle is now. It's got a ported blower on it, full stage 2 plus everything, and then we're going to go to the new charger and get a direct comparison between the two as just our starting point, and go from there. So yeah, no news yet. You'll know things when we're further along.
Someone's asking camshafts for the B9 platform. Yes, we are working on those. So those are currently in process. B8 S4, can you use your rotors with the 4-pot Macan calipers? I'm being told yes.
Okay.
I
don't see why not. It's a bolt. They're all the B8 package.
Our rotors are a direct fit for factory rotors. So. Best tune to set up for an Audi A6 C7 3.0T?
That's going to depend which motor you've got. If it's if you're C7 and Audi C7.5, you'll be the earlier gen 3 liter, and then the non-CREC, I guess you could say. And we've got files for that thing. So I mean, stage 1 up through 2 plus. Pick your level you want to be at, and the supporting mods you're looking at. So I'm not sure what best tune there is, but I mean, if you've got ethanol available to you, the E40 file is going to give you a lot of bang for the buck. Stage 1 all the way up through, we've got them. So.
Well, running a catless downpipe on a non-tuned B9 harm anything?
The environment?
just your future children.
Yeah. No. Why would you do that?
There's no reason to do that, and as we often discuss, due to the torque request nature of the factory ECU, a factory tune will not allow the motor to make any more power than stock, no matter what you do, because the factory ECU is targeting a set amount of torque, which will counteract any effort to increase torque.
Yeah, there are some efficiencies to be gained, but the catalyst is so not being a restriction on a stock turbo and a stock tune.
No.
And it is gonna impact, like, your cold start's gonna be terrible. You're gonna get fault codes.
You'll get fault codes.
There's no reason to do that.
Yeah, when you buy a ECU tune from us, one of the things we do is we recalibrate the ECU's torque request functions, and the ECU now requests more torque from the engine
to get more power.
And that's literally how you have to do it. It's not like a standalone where you just turn up the boost, change the timing, enriching the fuel, and then make air go in and out of the motor easier. That's how that kind of tuning really ended in the mid 90s. With the advents of Motronic 7 and some of the, everything up, from the
it's
A4.
only gotten more and more tightly controlled.
Yeah.
So the ECU's just got more and more, knowledge of its operating parameters and where it's...
Well, and it used to be like on an A4, if you put an exhaust on an ME7, it would make more power.
Yep. Even though those are MAF vehicles, even though they were measuring all that, you'd certainly get some out of it.
But
and those exhaust systems were far more restrictive. Those catalysts were a whole another level of...
But a B9 S4, you try to do something like that, it'll be exactly the same power. It won't change. I mean, it's the same with intakes. I mean, I remember on AJ-TTRSs, it was it's getting really hard. Put a free-flowing intake on it, and it just makes the same power as stock. But then you go in and recalibrate it. There's all kinds of power there. Yeah. B9 RS5 Stage 2 files. When will those be uploaded?
They're coming soon. I don't have any ETA.
This is the same as the crackle stuff. Yeah, so it's coming. Put in your request, and we will get to it. With a certain level of priority. It will not be forgotten about or anything like that. When will the TCU tune be released for B8.5 2023 models?
We are working on it. That is across the board. The Bosch TCU saga that everybody's working on. So
we're working on it, but there's no end in sight.
I don't have an ETA to give you right now. No.
Everyone is kind of in a holding pattern.
Well, everybody's working on it. We have not released anything yet.
Yeah. Any update on mobile tuning?
Same thing.
Lots of questions about this.
Yep.
We are working on this every day.
It's going along really well.
Yeah.
You say that every 15 minutes because there will be 15 more people.
No, it is coming along very well.
I'll remind you.
It's good to know so many people are interested in this.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Will the Dynamic Plus Mark 7 7.5 springs work for the Mark 8? They will fit, but we have chosen not to.
I thought there was something different in the rear.
No, because other companies
the droop, like they were able to come out of the perch or something at full droop.
I don't know. We don't. We say they are not applicable, and other companies simply just added Mark 8 to their Mark 7 applications for some of these things. So we have a whole new spring coming out. We are, I think we're in the final stages of. We get basically production samples from our spring manufacturer. We test them, and then we make fine-tune changes to the springs. And we usually have to do 3 or 4 spring revisions till we get it just right. And so we're at the end of that process for GTI and Golf R. So they will be being released in the next few months. But no, you do not want to run Mark 7 springs, and if another company tells you you can, you should run away. We're seeing the same thing for like RS3.
Yeah, we always have.
They're just
blanket
selling
coverage.
8.5 for the 8Y. Date on stage 1 TC tune for Mk8.
I'm assuming that's the later lock TCUs.
Yeah.
Same as all the other ones. It's
Yeah,
all the same problem we're solving.
I hope whoever's asking this knows that you can buy our ECU tune and you can get a lot more power and performance. I hear that there's a lot of people waiting for the TCU tune before they do anything. I'm not sure what the logic is there. There is very good power to be gained right now just from doing the ECU tune.
Yeah, absolutely.
And TCU tunes didn't even really used to be a thing until like recently. So it's just funny how it's now like making people
They're
not
holding
get
off
the
the
ECU
TCU
because they can't
yeah.
get TCU. And the TCU is coming, and when it's available, you can get it.
Yep.
Launch control for B8.5. We currently have launch control in the tune.
The launch control is set up and pretty well optimized for most situations. We have advanced launch control coming, which will let you adjust the amount of
the RPM,
the hit off the line. It's the load off the line on these ECUs.
Yeah, we don't have a release date for that, but it's another thing we're working on every day.
I'm working on it.
Someone asked, what's your favorite movie? Not sure if it's my number one, but I really like and recommend Joint Security Area, an old Korean film. That sounds like a pretty quirky film choice. Do you have anything?
Oh God, I'm all over the board with movies. I mean, it could be anything.
I think it's hard to have one favorite movie.
It's. I was just thinking, there's genres that are all over the place.
Well, I'll throw out there, I think probably the most impactful movie I've ever seen that like shook me to the core and like kind of changed my life was Saving Private Ryan.
It's funny. That's one of the ones I was thinking too. Just as one of those like you leave the movie theater feeling kind of different than when you went in.
Well, I watched that for the first time in a theater. It was probably like whenever it was, 1999 or something, and I like broke down sobbing and crying for like an hour. Like I was inconsolable. It was like the craziest thing. I was like not in control of my emotions for like an hour, and it was the most graphic, accurate view that I'd ever seen of what it was like to go to war and to fight for your country.
And to think of what they did show, and then versus how much more terrible it even was. Like,
well, I don't know if they didn't show anything. There's a guy walking around holding his guts. But to be there for that, to experience it.
This is not a fictional.
To have it happen to you, or to have it happen to your friend, and then to just come back to America and go to the grocery store, and go to a potluck at your church, having lived through that. And I mean, it's a brilliant fucking movie.
Yeah.
And the acting is phenomenal. What they chose to show in it is there's that scene where the young guy is fighting that German guy, like when they're in that town, and he's on the second floor.
Oh, the sniper scene. Yeah.
Well, they're fighting, and then he gets the bayonet, and he just slowly like plunges it into his chest. It's just I'd never seen anything like that in a movie. And I mean, there's other amazing war movies like Full Metal Jacket, and what's the one with Coppola and Vietnam where they just went fucking insane. Totally blanking. I should know this.
Oh, I don't know.
The most realistic Vietnam War movie ever made.
That Full Metal Jacket?
There's Full Metal Jacket.
Well, no, not that. I mean, that one's very realistic too.
Oh my God.
They like literally went out into the Vietnam jungle for like 6 months and just filmed like they just went insane.
Not Tropic Thunder.
No, they just started.
Someone's writing it right now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's. I'm totally drawing a blank. I can see the preview of the helicopter in the skyline, but
yeah,
Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse Now, also just epic. And there's so many other good movies, right? So, but I'm just saying, as far as like a movie that really affected me, that was it.
You can go back to like when I was like a kid. One of the biggest impacts, I guess, was a kid, younger. It was like Jurassic Park, just because it was the first movie of its kind.
I love
looked
Jurassic Park.
At all like that. There was nothing else that even came close. So just you walk outside the theater and just like looking for the dinosaurs kicking around. It's like,
Where are we at with Spaceballs?
No, Spaceball was epic. And Starship Troopers, if you haven't seen that,
Starship Troopers
that
is
is
awesome.
amazing.
But I think that's to Nate's point earlier. There's like, what's your favorite comedy? And because you can't really compare.
I mean,
a lot
like
of these movies.
Big Fish, I really like that kind of movie. It's just a spin on a very fantastical tale. There's musicals I really get into. It's all over the board, so it's not a single thing.
There's like
I like movies, like it's just a well-told story. And
one of my favorite like romance love stories is this movie called Age of Innocence with Michelle Pfeiffer. It was like late 90s. Just a really intense love story between two people. So yeah, there's a lot of good movies out there. Booty Call, at the top of my list. I'd say one of the best movies of its kind. Pure 750 tune for B9. Yes, we are working on that as well. So we have like a lot of people that work here, and so when I say we're working on it, it's not like all one person.
oh yeah, let me. When I leave this, I'll go play with that for.
We have one calibrator who's working on that. Nate is working on 2 projects.
Two, yeah, I wish it was 2.
Well,
yeah,
2 projects are living and dying on you
yes.
specifically. I guess they probably all live and die on you though. It's really great.
damn it.
Yeah. Shucks. I recently got your MQB turbo inlet and P34 intake with the panel filter. It's going on my 2019 Arteon 4Motion. Any future plans for an Arteon tune?
This is just a 2-liter.
Yeah,
It's going to depend what
there's a
motors in
difference.
that.
Oh, they've got the 8-speed
If it's
base.
There's something.
yeah, there's some weird transmission packages in those. The Arteon unfortunately is one of those kind of forgotten childs, just because the packages, the drivetrain packages that can get configured in them are not necessarily tuner friendly, in that there's only a few that are looking to be calibrated and tuned. So yeah, I mean, you're welcome to send your box codes in, or if you can get them, if you got like a scan from OBD11, VCDS, or something like that, send it in tuning at. We can take a look and see if it's something we can set you up with. Because a lot of those engines do cross over, but the transmission might be tricky.
What are Javad's grilling barbecue plans for 4th of July? I will be in a cabin up in the mountains. I'm not sure what kind of...
Oh, that's where I'm going.
I might have to bring my own grilling stuff.
Are you going out there?
I think there is a barbecue there, but it's like gas, so it's unacceptable. I'll definitely do some ribs and some tri-tip, I think.
I just did tri-tip last week.
Yeah. Tri-tip is very good. Medium well tri-tip. That's the ticket. And usually on tri-tip I just do like the Monterey steak seasoning from, I think it's McCormick or something like that. It's available in most grocery stores. It's just really good.
I know the exact one you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's
Is it Monterey or Montreal? Montreal steak seasoning.
Yeah.
Yes. I buy it like in big things.
Gallon
I think
buckets.
I've gotten it at Costco before, like in huge things. If you're seeing normal track temps for the B9 at around 270, how do you deal with the ECU dropping redline to 5500? Anything to lower these temps other than time?
So we are actually working on this is going to be stuff coming out on actually probably a pretty imminent release. We've been working a bunch on some thermal management things on these ECUs. So the stock it's interesting. The stock calibration and Audi, the way Audi chose to do it on these motors was just yank the red line down and that was it. There's actually a lot of other knobs and controls in the ECU that can do a lot more than that as far as reducing load in a more gradual way. The red line's a part of it, but it's not necessarily the only fix for it. So we've got a couple updates that are coming down the pipeline that are going to help kind of smooth that transition, and you obviously can't keep going full tilt if you're getting into the temps that are getting out of control. So something needs to be dialed back, and RPM limit's one of them, or one of the ways you can do it. But we've got some other strategies we're working on as well.
We're looking into oil cooler options,
And then there's mechanical stuff. We're also looking at.
It's really not the biggest issue facing B9 right now, so it hasn't been a high priority. But you could always just add an aftermarket oil cooler. You could try to squeeze one in somewhere.
I have a lot of cooling on the front of those motors already, but yeah.
I haven't looked to see.
Yep.
What kind of oil adapter would be required or anything like that. Can your ECU get negatively affected if you go back and forth between stock and tuned? Well, first off, we don't sell ECUs. We sell calibrations. And so the factory ECU does not care what file was flashed in it before the current one. So no, you can go back and forth between stock and tune, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it's going to depend.
Our
It really depends on what ECU we're talking about here. There's some weird nuances on some of the older. There's some very specific older models where you get a flash count. You'll hit a flash counter limit. You got to do some monkeying around with that.
Those are kind of
but that's very much an outlier to
yeah.
the norm. And many of those we already addressed that by setting the flash count to 1 each time or whatever it was each time. I mean, it depends.
Some misconceptions.
Yeah, it depends how extreme you're talking. There's like flash write limits on these things. Just making like a physical, the flash will wear out essentially because they're not meant to be written to a lot. But that's like in the tens of thousands of writes, not anything you'll realistically do in your lifetime.
Let's keep pounding through these. They're just coming in
So no,
heavy.
there isn't other than there's generally not a need to.
Do you think Audi F1 engineering efforts will trickle down into street cars, or do you see them doing special F1 inspired cars like AMG?
Well,
I can say for sure the technology will trickle down.
It always does. I mean,
for example, the current FSI technology was first tested in racing in Le Mans, the prototype cars. So that stuff does trickle down. It's just hard to say how or
you may not see like the direct line, but those advancements, those engineering skills, they're not lost. They're not burning all that money for just the racing effort. They're also going to get everything they can out of it, which involves that R&D.
AMG just released a line of Mercedes 4 cylinders with mild hybrid electric turbos, like you find.
Well, exactly. Yeah, it's all these little components. The KERS systems will turn into these these sandwiched.
I thought AMG was like
Mercedes Petronas AMG is all one thing. But yeah, Mercedes still does AMG.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought they shut down AMG.
They're all just 4 cylinders. It's like a package. Everything's them, everything's AMG.
But anything they can pull down and improve your road going vehicle with, why wouldn't they?
And Audi would be stupid not to market F1 technology in like the RS cars, for example. So I think that will become. I mean, they do it right because there's still, which I don't disagree with, but I laugh sometimes because it's literally, 40 years ago. They are still connecting the current Audi RS cars to rally racing from the early 80s.
Yep. And then the IMSA cars are still very much a factor in their marketing use. And the technology very directly
the IMSA GTO
translated to
the rally cars. It's still, So the reason I laugh is like, come on, Audi, that was epic, but it's time to
let's make a new epic.
Let's update the level of epicness. That was a long time ago. And they've done a lot of amazing stuff since then, but that arguably what they did in rally and what they did in IMSA GTO is arguably one of the greatest achievements in racing.
It was just a way to transform what technology was used in racing and how it was used.
All right, let's pound through these. Do you guys have plans to release a fuel upgrade for the B8 3.0 T soon, like aftermarket injectors? We do. Mm-hmm. We are working on several options. Very exciting. Like we always say, we're not done with the supercharged 3-liter, so hang in there, stay tuned.
That's another one of my things I'm responsible for, is it?
Yes.
Yes. Sorry about that. Someone's asking about vacuum pump kit. This is it right here. And so this is our new this is our 2-liter vacuum pump kit that fits on 1.8 T's that allows you to run
2-liter start pump,
our high pressure fuel pump. So you basically convert your 1.8 T to a 2-liter from a fuel system. You're not going to get the extra displacement. I'm sorry. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, fuel system, a 2-liter fuel system, not a 2-liter engine.
But these are just factory parts. Nothing special. It's the pump and a gasket. It's pretty reasonably priced. I think it's around $200 or so. And then that puts you into our world-renowned epic high-pressure fuel pump for the MQB application, which just bolts right in. So yeah, very, very easy upgrade. Why is it for the B8.5 034 recommends a test pipe for the crackle tune, however, IE doesn't?
We've talked about this before quite a lot, but it's just we're down to the stock catalysts on those cars need all the help they can get to last as long as they can, and we chose to remove a cosmetic feature to just give the catalyst a little more chance at lasting as long as it can.
Yeah. Can you do it? Yes. Do we recommend it? No.
Not at all.
And so IE is recommending something that we don't agree with.
Yeah, and we're fairly advanced in how we have our so those ECUs never had crackle overrun natively.
Yeah.
So there's not all the factory limits and thresholds, and there's a lot of generally like catalyst temperature thresholds and enable points, and we added that. That is still there. We put that into our implementation of the crackle overrun, but even still, we chose to pull it from the non-test pipe applications just to get it on the best chance.
Someone's asking, I want to dirt drag my single pulley stage 2. Any advice? Send vids.
Vids
That's
and
my advice.
tires and suspension setup are going to be a big thing.
I just
Winter
think you need those
tires are
paddle tires.
Winter tires are okay.
Get those paddle tires, man. Have you seen those?
You're going to sand.
Have you seen the
That's
top fuel
sand.
dragsters?
Yeah, that's sand. Oh yeah.
Like, they just disappear out of frame like magic.
When I was a little one, my daycare, the husband of the woman I was like my daycare, the person running our daycare, built those sandrails,
Wow.
and so I just got to like stare at those across the street all day long.
Also seems very dangerous to stand behind one of those.
No, I would not.
Get like a ton of dirt and gravel hitting you in the face at 300 miles an hour. Are you guys working on California Smog legal C5 B5 performance tunes?
C5 and B5.
Yeah, so we greatly support performance calibrations that are exempt from California smog laws. We will not be doing it for cars that old.
Yeah, that would be such a monumental task. The problem is you have to get a B5 that's running perfectly stock in that situation with all the OEM parts in perfect working order to do your baseline tests and then do your collection tests.
But that's not even the worst part.
No, it's not.
The worst part is anyone who's modifying a B5 at this point will do it in a way that's impossible to be smog legal. So a smog legal B5 tune, you're literally talking about a B5 S4 that came with 250 horsepower, and you flash it, and now maybe it has 290 horsepower.
It's a stage 1 flash.
Yeah.
That is it.
And nobody wants that. There's zero people that want that. So if you think that there's a 500 horsepower, KO4 hybrid billet wheel, 3-inch downpipe 270 smog legal tune coming around, there isn't. That's never going to happen. So
And there's no magic sauce that we've developed in the from the B5 era to the B9 era, where that's why we're making all this extra power on stage 1. It's all the advancements in the calibrations, the ECUs, the engine technology has advanced tremendously. The turbo technology. So
we do still sell 270 tunes,
Yeah.
and they are sold for racing use only. They are not smog legal. They're not to be driven on the road.
yeah, they're all very clean running, but they are not going to be smog exempt anytime soon.
Yeah, and those 2.7s go back to an era where factory cats were very restrictive, and you could not run them. Even
Stock turbos.
even with stock turbos, there was huge advantage and a huge detriment to running. Huge advantage to getting rid of them, and a huge disadvantage to keeping them. So, no, I would say have your fun and do it whatever way that you feel that you can, and that's literally 20 years ago. Will the new supercharger let the B8 B8.5 compete with B9 Stage 3?
We'll let you know when we got numbers, and we've done more testing. But that's impossible to speculate. But the B8 B8.5 is no slouch already, so
It will definitely help.
Oh yeah,
because currently there's really no competition as far as power goes, but it still won't ever produce the torque of a B9 turbo. So, it will make more torque, but it will have that same very linear power band that the factory supercharger has. But I think if you do want to keep up with B9 acceleration times, it should
It's going to close.
it will be promising. Yes, with all the benefits of the supercharged motor, with the instantaneous throttle response, and all that. 034 has talked about the B9 3.0T issues, but I have not heard anyone talk about 2.9T Stage 1 and Stage 3 having any real problems. I like this customer, how they skipped Stage 2. They're very this guy knows what he's talking about. Actually, if you're interested in a marketing job here at 034, we'd like to evaluate you. He nailed it. He's got his talking points. I know there are less RS cars, but is the 2.9 motor holding up better? It does appear that way.
It is a different motor. They do have different construction internally.
Different injectors.
They certainly have more headroom in the injectors to start with.
I don't think substantively there's that much different about it, though. From our estimation, it's about 1/10 the number of cars to the S4.
Yeah,
so
I feel like that gap's probably growing as far as.
So we literally have a small handful of S4s, so you divide that by 10, and you're now below 1. So it's very possible that the first RS car just simply hasn't had the issue just because there's so few of them. But yeah, and there's nothing to point that the 2.9 motor is a lot stronger or anything. I mean, you could argue that it has a stronger piston because it has a smaller bore.
And it is a different piston.
It's a different piston.
Compression ratio, different setup.
So, but yeah, I mean, for now, if you're an RS customer, there's really, I mean, I don't think there's a lot to worry about if you're an S4 customer, but there are some concerns. But if you're an RS customer, there's currently no reason to be concerned about anything. Those motors are all. We have no reported issues or cases. And I think overall, we had about 1/10 the number of problems. Yeah,
I know.
So you just keep going back.
I can think of we had one guy that had an issue, and that was traced directly to a set of bad injectors. The injectors were toast.
That was the one guy.
That's the only one we had. We had another guy that had a motor issue that it turns out he hydrolocked it. We found out afterwards. That's obviously nothing too limited.
Well, I think the first guy was related to his diet too. There were some issues there. B9 SQ5 Stage 2 high 11s possible, and any favorite sport tires, proxes or NT 555s. So Nick, our marketing manager, did an 11.8 on Stage 1, and we have a number of customers who have repeated that. So I think, yes, definitely high 11s with Stage 2, even high 11s with Stage 1.
Yep. Conditions vary.
As far as tires, I think what you listed are both good options. We run everything here Michelin. They're not cheap, but they're very good, nice tires. Generally on the streets, I don't really put too much concern around tire stickiness because there's really only so much you can do on the street. So I would say get cheap street tires that last a long time, that don't have a lot of grip. Save your money and put it towards a set of good track tires. Because you'll have the same problem. Cheap street tires on the track will last half a lap. They'll just literally fall apart. Chunks of the tire will start ripping off. So, there's the tire needs for the street versus the track are so different. It really makes a lot of sense to invest properly and get the most out of both. It's kind of like, if you have two hobbies and one is a water sport and the other is a snow sport, get your water sports that deal well with water, and then get your other one that deals well with cold and ice. Sorry if this is asked, but do you all have a time frame on when updates drop for the ECU MK8 GTI?
Yes, this is on me again.
Damn, sorry. There's a lot of them too.
So yeah, I am trying to. I'll get these up. I've got all the files. It's just a matter of me setting aside some time to get this posted. So
Don't worry,
I saw that. Hopefully very soon.
We got another y'all. Hi, y'all.
Get all the y'alls today.
I ordered a Stage 2 Plus and TCU tune for my B8.5 S4 Thursday and still haven't received it. Well, congratulations and thank you. Our normal fulfillment time for this kind of stuff is 1 to 2 business days. So I know the weekends feel like you're waiting, but you're not because we're closed. So if you haven't gotten it, I can assure you you'll get it today. Definitely check your spam folder.
Yeah, we have some people
we have
on there because
a lot of emails go to spam.
Yeah, because we have to include like some instructions and links and references to the website for you to download the tuning portal. So make sure you're checking your spam folder.
Yeah. And then feel free to email contact at 034 Motorsport or tuning at 034 Motorsport.
Yep.
At this point, if you haven't gotten it and it's not in your spam folder, feel free.
And I assume we're just talking about an email. This is probably a calibration
onboarding.
edition.
Onboarding.
If you need hardware, that's a different thing.
So these two questions are related. B9 S4 carbon open intake info. When are we seeing it? And then someone asks, how far along till we see the B9 S4 mega intake?
B9 SQ5.
B9 SQ5 mega intake. Both are in manufacturing right now. We're having the carbon shields molded up and the silicone hoses molded up. On the S4 version, we did go back to the drawing board at one point because an ex-engineer just really didn't make it fit to our normal standards, so we had to open it, fix that and open a new mold, which unfortunately created a delay. It would have been released by now if we had chosen to do that, and we needed to because we want to make sure it fits perfect for you guys. So I think the next month or two, isn't that like kind of time frame? They're in handoff.
Yeah, we're looking Summerfest-ish if all goes well.
Yeah, so I'd say 1 to 2 months, for both of those. So hang in there, and they will be called our Super Duper intakes, part of the Super Duper series or line of products. I think someone's already asked, but is there potential for bigger, better hybrid turbos other than the 720 for RS5? Yeah, that will be coming in the future. It's not a priority for us right now, but I think it's safe to say in the next 2 years, there will be a lot of other, an 820 or something like that.
Yeah, there's some other solutions we want to get in place first before we start turning the wick up much more on these, just to get the next level of turbos and power upgrades in the mix.
Yeah, I mean the RS5 is just an absolute fix.
And the thing's doing 9-second quarter miles full weight with the setup we've got now, so that's smoking.
Would I be able to use Stage 3 TCU with Stage 2 E85, or do I need to be Stage 3 tuned for Stage 3 TCU?
As soon as B9, I mean, the shift points are not going to be optimal. You'll be faster on the correct Stage 2 TCU file. The Stage 3 shift points are all moved up to optimize for that turbo's power band. That's literally going to be, just a wasted effort, I guess you could say.
Yeah, can you clarify the differences between Stage 2 and Stage 3 and TCU?
Primarily, it's in the shift points, just because they're optimized for that power band of that turbo that is shifted, higher in the rev range. We also raise the rev limiter. I'm trying to think now. You might bump into the ECU rev limiter on the Stage 3 TCU tune with a Stage 2 ECU tune. I can't recall on that one offhand if that's one of those.
We did spend time tailoring the TCUs for power bands of which turbo you're running.
Shift speeds and all that are going to be the equivalent between the two. It's just going to be your shift points, which if you want to wind it all the way out, you can put it in manual and just use the paddles, and you can shift a red line every time. So
Nathan mentioned this, but the biggest difference is one stage level.
One
That is a
1
bigger
point
number.
difference. Not that I'm in a rush, don't even have one, but is EA 824 tuning still in the works, even if it's on the back burner?
Yep.
It's something we want to do.
I'd say it's about in the middle burner right now for the 4-liter.
Oh, I didn't know it went to the middle.
Yeah.
I thought it was on the back one. A lot of stoves don't even have middle burners.
I think we're at 8 or 10 burners at this point. Big wolf range.
Rows of burners?
Yeah, they're just stacked deep.
It could be more than that. B9 PCV catch can upgrade, yes. This is also in manufacturing. It will be done soon.
Nice.
We made a change. I would like to argue, and I think I can make this point safely, that 034 Motorsport has been at the forefront of any tuning industry, alerting and notifying the community of the PCV issues in the B9. We could take a lot of credit for that. It's ultimately because our car burned down because of it, and that really got our attention. So here we are. But there are a number of catch can options on the market, and they're not good. I'll say, generally speaking, any catch can kit that removes vacuum from the system should not be run on your car. And there's currently quite a few options that just simply eliminate the whole PCV connection altogether. The crankcase needs vacuum. Excuse me, Jesus.
You all right there? Good.
I don't know if you heard that ripper of a burp.
I think our AI took care of it.
Yeah,
taken
God.
care of.
Dear God.
Nick just
Trying
vomited
to keep any
his-
bodily
into his
functions
shirt.
silent and inside your body for now. What was I talking about? Anyways,
something great.
Our kit will keep the PCV connection to the intake and vacuum system, so that vacuum is still on the crankcase. Vacuum helps seal the piston rings and prevents oil from going into the combustion chamber, and also prevents the crankcase from being pressurized. The opposite of pressure is vacuum. So our kit has very heavy-duty motorsport grade check valves installed now, so there's virtually zero
Very
chance.
tried and true.
Yeah, this is a check valve we've been selling for almost 15 years, at least probably 15 plus years.
It's getting there.
Almost 20 years. And this will be a bulletproof, tried and true PCV catch can kit. There are a few other kits on the market that do keep vacuum. They're pretty chintzy. I won't call out any names, but it's not something that I would run in my car. So my goal is always, for all our products, that I would run it on my own car. And at this point, I've been in this industry for 30 years, and I'm tired and over crap. I'd rather just, ride a bike.
That's why we're
put
not
shitty
pushing
parts on my
stuff
car.
out.
Yeah.
Like, we're not first to market on a solution. We want the solution.
Not always. So anyways, stay tuned. I'm hoping we can get that released in the next month or so. We're very close. Best handling mod for the MQB besides lowering springs and a rear sway bar for Mark 7.5.
Camber.
Definitely the Camster plates and any of our camber plates, but the Camster gives you both camber and caster. Or you could do the RCO control arms if you want to get the camber and caster that way. But
It drives so different with
it completely transforms the handling of the car. And specifically on an MQB, if you combine all of our handling parts, the car just turns like it shouldn't.
It is responsive.
The car turns and rotates around the front of the car, in a way that the front tires just bite, and you turn the steering wheel and the car goes. So it's great. Is adding an aftermarket intercooler to a tuned B9 S4 increase long-term reliability, durability of the powertrain?
It certainly helps. Yes,
Yeah.
the cooler and more efficient you can make all of that system, the happier the rest of the system is going to be down the line. You're shedding that air, or the temperature out of that air, and it's especially if you're on lower octane fuels, it is going to be night and day difference.
And to state it differently, it does not hurt anything in any way. It only helps things. Is there ever a situation where a high pressure fuel pump would be helpful on the 91 or 93 files for the tunes that are currently available for B8.5 S4?
I mean, in theory, you're not going to notice a performance difference. In the real world, it's going to give you some more headroom. There's not really a reason not to do it. I would say, other than lightens your wallet a little bit. So it certainly opens you up to more potential if you have some availability, some ethanol down the road or something. But there's not a reason not to do it. But it's nobody those tunes don't call for it anyway.
Yeah, it gives you more headroom.
Yeah,
Which is never
yep,
bad.
never a bad thing.
Oh, thanks for doing these streams. Love the knowledge share. You're welcome. We love doing them. Can you explain why B8.5 steering is relatively numb? Does your full catalog make it much better? Yeah, so it's two reasons. One, it could be related to your alignment settings. So factory alignment settings are designed for long tire life and straight and true tracking. You can get a little more aggressive with some like toe out or toe in, depending on what you're looking for. And that will make the car feel much more responsive. In fact, if you just play with the toe, you can make the car very jerky and twitchy, right? So factory steering is designed for, like, you know, someone's driving down the road distracted, yelling at their kids, and they're tugging at the steering wheel, you know, slapping their kids in the back seat, and the car is just pretty much going straight, right? Now, you know, in a race car where every micro, adjustment of steering angle is needed, then that changes pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Now, the factory suspension, like for example, the springs, the factory sway bars are quite soft as well too, which means that they don't really help the car change directions, more quickly. But for our products, we go in and we stiffen those things up, and so you get faster response from the suspension. Tires as well. If you have a real small wheel and you have big fat sidewalls, when you turn the steering wheel, the squishier tire, your wheel will actually kind of turn inside the tire, right?
A substantial amount. It's just like I've done
depending on how big you get.
Yeah, I've done some. Even on, like, you'd be surprised how much that tire moves in the wheel. Like, I've done some video on track where we focus just on the the wheel and tire contact area, and that looks like the tire's going to come off the rim. Like the amount that interaction moves is far more than most people would.
But something like getting like a 35 or 40 series tire is going to make the car feel more responsive as well. And then there's air pressure related to that. If you have real low air pressure, your steering is going to be squishy. So there's a lot of things, but yes, our products will help. And there's other.
And especially if you're getting to the end of the life of your control arms, that is a massive. It's like the link that's basically attaching your car to your tires. So if those are getting soft or blown out, that'll make a massive difference.
Oh, we're getting close to getting to
Yeah.
Very close.
Do you guys plan on running a summer sale? If so, when does it start? So, huh? Well, we do have a tuning sale for Mark 8 and
cool. I can get those files.
Golf R and S3, 8YS3 tunes. So all of that is on sale right now for 10% off.
Tomorrow.
Oh, sorry. It starts tomorrow for 10% off. Apologies. For about the last 10, 15 years, we have a Summerfest event, and we've always had a sale associated with that. So
Historically speaking,
you do the
can
math.
draw the conclusions from there.
We don't announce any sales before they start. We announce them when they start. I think that's pretty standard business practice of almost every company on Earth. But apparently we announced our Mark 8 sale with some lead time. So that's probably why we haven't sold any for 4 days.
No one knows.
Oh, they don't know. Okay, sorry.
Well, now they do.
You made it up.
I was just joking. I have no idea if we've sold any or not. We've probably sold 1 million.
Oh, there you go. I like your range.
Yes. How likely is it for the existing catalog of intake and especially heat exchanger parts for B8.5 S4 need to be upgraded to handle Merck's new charger? That's a good question. We don't know for sure.
Yeah, this is all stuff we're going to try and evaluate as much as we can with our testing regime. So
the problem is I don't think you can fit a lot more of anything anywhere. Easily.
There's a little more depth for front, like if you want to go to a thicker cooler, but the problem is you get into the trade-off of now you're blocking your main radiator from that area.
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's all these compromises. We'll see. Ideally, with a larger blower, you're doing it in a much more efficient manner to generate the power we're getting. So ideally, you're going to have less temperature increase on that air that you're putting into the motor, and it's got bigger intercooler bricks, so you're going to have more cooling capacity up there. And I would say by far the capacity limitation is on the bricks, not at the heat exchanger on the front right now. So I think we've got a large amount of headroom on the front exchanger.
Let's try to get to a few more. How's the turbo lag on Stage 3 RS5 running 91 octane compared to stock? There's no 85 where I live.
It's not bad at all. It is laggier than stock. There's no free lunch there on that one. But
it's not a laggy car by any means.
No, it's still got plenty of throttle response.
But there is always a compromise when you go bigger turbo. You're going to introduce some more lag.
Yep.
Someone sent us a picture of one of those grills at like 7-Eleven.
Oh, that was me.
Oh, that was you.
That was why I lost my
That's why Nick.
ability to control.
So I got gas at 7-Eleven the other day. That is called a roller grill. And they actually have like a roller grill menu, and they really talk up their roller grill, which just looks like a terrible way to cook it.
It's just
food,
hot
but
tube, so like it's
yeah. But they have a whole branding.
Here we're talking about those hot dog rollers that you put like 600 hot dogs or sausages or
or you can put taquitos on it or whatever.
Dry crusty.
Mk8 R 8Y S3 parts coming and support. Well, we already have lots.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go on our website and you put in your make model, you will see all the products we have, which is substantial. And there's a lot more coming. Yes. Thoughts on Macan caliper upgrade? I honestly don't know much about it.
We already talked about that at the beginning of the stream, right? Is that the B8 one?
We talked about that. It will fit, but I don't know anything whether it's like. Is it like a nice 4-piston caliper?
It's a 4-piston caliper that bolts onto the B8.
It sounds like a good upgrade over the factory.
The factory caliper is kind of trash.
Yeah. The problem with the factory caliper and that style caliper is they tend to flex because of the way they're constructed. So when you go to like a monoblock caliper, like probably what the Macan is, it's a very rigid housing, and so when you apply the brakes, the caliper doesn't flex at all.
Yeah.
And so all that braking force is applied to the rotor. And then you have 4 pistons, so you get a bigger pad. You get more even pad distribution.
Is the radial swept areas larger on those? I don't know offhand.
I don't know, but 2 pistons are going to apply more force than 1.
Yeah, I completely tacoed my pads at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, that's why.
On my S4 because you've got that center contact point. The temperatures are.
I think that's pretty much everything. Someone's asking about. Are all 2022 S5 box codes cracked yet?
ECU stuff, I believe, all the ECU stuff's fine.
ECU.
The TCU is the only problem right now. But all the ECU stuff we have.
Oh, this is a good question. Is it smarter to get suspension done before buying new wheels and tires?
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
I think you could argue either way. New wheels and tires are definitely going to make the car more responsive and handle better, but the foundation of what the tires are going to be doing is going to be compromised by the factory suspension. So, yeah, you will definitely notice an improvement. But my theory is that you could probably get a car with suspension and stock wheels and tires to handle better than just a car with wheels and tires. But I mean, if you put really, really sticky tires on it, then
I can't think of a situation in any of these where a wheel and tire package is going to fix the car at a level where it's going to be anywhere near even some of the basic suspension.
But if you put like a really sticky R compound, with stock suspension, the car is going to have more.
It's going to have more lateral grip, but you're going to be rolling over. The whole car is going to be falling over on its side, basically. With the body roll.
Exactly,
and all that.
And the contact patch is not going to want to be on the roads. So. Yeah. Well, I think we did pretty good this week.
We're a little bit over time, but we're good.
Yeah.
We got through a lot of the questions. So thank you guys for the questions again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us and participating. We really appreciate it.
My wife is still astonished. We have questions every week. So she doesn't believe me.
The internet hasn't run out of questions.
We're answering the same things every week. So.
That's true.
It makes you feel better. People do use your answers to both benefit and harm. Justin got
benefit and harm.
Justin got an email that says, per one of your weekly podcasts on May 12th, 2021, you guys stated.
All right.
So,
holding us to account.
So,
we do see that, and, we are, if there's ever any corrections, we haven't had to make any, we're open to them.
Nothing major.
We are flying off the cuff here. We don't have any of this pre-programmed.
Zero, yeah. We're just making it up as
we're doing the best we can as we go along. So.
All right, cheers, guys. I think we'll probably see you next week.
No, next week is 4th of July.
4th of July.
I am off.
No, next week. God, I can't believe 4th of July is here.
It's crazy. So you're going to be grilling.
I can't believe I'll be making tri-tip next week.
Tri-tip in the mountains, it sounds like.
Delicious.
All right, guys.
All right, cheers. Bye.